Hello there.
Hey, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Evan.
All topics presented in this podcast are highly likely to contain spoilers.
We tell you this as a courtesy to you, the listener, so that we may not ruin any movies or shows for you.
Thank you for listening.
This has been your spoiler warning.
Well, welcome to Your In-Depth. We did a little bit of a title change to better cover our expanding ideas as far as like topics to cover. Because eventually we'd like to move into things other than Star Wars. So, but Evan, you saw a new review, right? On Apple.
Yep, so we got a new review on Apple Podcast. So shout out to Yoda, the one that I want, for the 5-star review. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. The more reviews, it works towards our goals that we had mentioned in the last episode, being, let's get to, what was it, 100?
Yeah,
100 reviews. Yeah.
Just saying our goals again. Every 100 reviews, we will set up a live stream for you guys to interact with us with. No filters, all that kind of jazz. And then every 1,000 downloads will be that bloopers reel.
Yeah. So, this new review that was submitted definitely helps go towards that, and also just the 5 stars kind of helps us with the higher rated your podcast is, the more likely it's going to be suggested to other people, and so that kind of helps us get more listeners and all sorts of positive stuff. But thank you very much for that review. Next thing, so speaking of interaction with everybody, we do have a Discord server. We gained a lot of new people, and that was an interesting experience. But we
debacle.
Yeah, one of our friends sent a bunch of people from his Discord server, and it hasn't even been a full. Well, how long has that been? Did they come over?
Like a solid 2 days.
What was that?
Yeah. It's been like a solid 2 days.
Yeah, within the first 24 hours, we banned 3 people and disabled image uploading. So
no, hold on.
Okay.
Not even within the first hour.
That's true. Yeah, it was bad. And they just, oh my, like literally just spam nonstop. Like they didn't just, like, not everything they sent was just like super inappropriate or anything. It was just the fact that they just kept like it was bad. So that's been maintained and I think stunted. So it should be a lot more of a pleasant place to go if you guys would like to go there and interact with us and hang out.
Yeah, so also with the Discord,
yes,
we are monitoring it constantly, so if anybody else goes on there and is typing out a bunch of inappropriate stuff, we will either, if it's not too bad, we'll give them a warning first. If it's really bad, we'll just ban them right away, because that's not stuff we want on our Discord.
No, in no way do we want that there.
So we are monitoring that, so don't feel like you're going to get on there and just see a bunch of toxic stuff. We're making sure to monitor it. Anything that's, like I said, bad, they get banned, and it takes that right out of the Discord chat right away.
Exactly, yeah. If you ban a user, it removes all of their previous posted like stuff, so you don't even have to worry about those we already banned. Like, you don't even, not a trace of them. But yeah, it should be a positive thing, and I would encourage you guys to go check that out. But yeah, you want to get into episodes 5 and 6 of the Clone Wars?
Yeah, so Star Wars, the Clone Wars episode 5 is...
Wait, I have a announcement.
Oh?
Yeah? What's up?
I just want you guys to know that I took a massive dump today. It was top 5 biggest dumps of my life.
Yeah, just barely going above on the list after Last Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, I had some bad ones, but that one was... I'm talking 2-liter Mountain Dew bottles.
Oh my god! It's like damn near the size of a baby.
Oh no.
Gage literally gave birth.
Oh my goodness.
I don't see why why girls think it's so bad.
Oh boy. Anyways.
Anyways, right. Yeah.
Jeez.
Episode 5.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Episode 5, titled "Rookies."
Mm-hmm.
So, just a quick overview of the episode. We follow some. I guess it kind of gives that intro, basically saying that a lot of clones are getting pushed into service, getting sent to the front lines without finishing their training. So there's a lot of new guys, a lot of green guys, who are not fully prepared for the war, and so a lot of them are actually getting stationed on different outposts and whatnot, where they can get a little bit of experience without getting thrown into the heat of battle right away. And so in this episode, it follows a group of clones that are on the Rishi Moon outpost. And they basically have to defend it against a droid invasion. Yeah.
Okay.
That's really the overview of the episode. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, it is. So, yeah, we'll just start going through my notes on it then.
Yeah.
So that's the premise, and yeah.
Yeah. And so I did notice in your notes, Jacob, a little further down, you said, "What's the significance of this base?"
Oh yeah. Yep.
And so basically, what the Rishi Moon outpost is for is to give early warning of any sort of attack on Kamino, which is where the cloning facilities are for the Republic.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a very big deal if it gets attacked or there's immediate threat to it. So that's the purpose of this outpost, is to, as I said, give early warning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be an important base then, because Kamino, where everybody's like all their clones are, being produced, so that'd be a likely target, and then well, okay, so here's another thing. Obviously you need that added security, but like Obi-Wan had such a hard time finding Kamino even. So, they definitely do take lengths to try to, hide it, but like, I don't know. Has there been a threat against it then, since it is it's hidden?
Well, so the reason Obi-Wan had troubles finding Kamino in the first place,
right,
is because Count Dooku actually deleted the information that the Republic had on.
So Dooku knows about it.
Attack of the Clones, in Attack of the Clones, when Obi-Wan was talking to Yoda and was like, all the stars and whatnot are gravitating around this central point, but the planet is gone.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that information is actually, so it's not that the Kaminoans are actually hiding their planet. It's that the Republic didn't know about it because Count Dooku, before the whole war and everything started.
Right, yeah, okay. That makes sense. I forgot that, Dooku was kind of in charge of that, so that would make sense. Obviously, he's involved in the Separatists, and, and that would definitely be a threat then.
Yeah.
So, okay. But yeah, early on in the episode, they're all, kind of just talking, all the clones in there. And one of them insulted another one by saying, they were like, they kept him in his growth jar too long. And it just reminded me of, you ever seen Tommy Boy? Chris Farley, David Spade?
Yes.
What was the one in that? You eat a lot of paint chips as a kid? That whole thing. And obviously that's not unique to Tommy Boy. That's just what reminded me of it. But, it just reminded me of that kind of man, there's something up with you. So, yeah. What?
Like whenever you ask someone, did your parents drop you a lot as a kid?
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
So yeah, this episode starts out with as you said, all the clones are just kind of chilling there in the base talking, and kind of cracking jokes at each other and whatnot. And it shows a couple clones arm wrestling. They have their galaxy radio playing. And it seems pretty laid back, and one or two of them makes a comment of being put in the basically the most boring station in the galaxy because nothing ever happens there.
Yeah.
A couple you kind of gripe about wanting to get into action, see some combat, all that kind of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe it cuts over to Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker briefly, where they are kind of radio communicating with Captain Rex and Commander Cody. And, just checking up on them because those two clones are going to different outposts and facilities, doing inspections, making sure everything's up to par. They tell Captain Rex and Commander Cody to, hey, let us know when you get there, radio in, let us know, when you leave, just kind of give us an update of your progress.
Mm-hmm.
And then, shortly after that, it cuts back to the clones there on the Rishi moon. And this episode kind of revolves around, I would say, 2, almost 3 specific clones at that station. And that would be Heavy, Fives, and Echo.
Okay.
We do see a fourth clone, that's Cut Up in this episode as well. And I will just say this, later on in the Clone Wars TV show, you do see those 4 clones with a 5th known as Droid Bait. You do see them later on in an episode, but I just have to say before I go any further, this episode 5 of Rookies, is out of place chronologically.
Oh.
So just keep that in mind if you're watching ahead and you get to the point I'm talking about where you see those clones again. Keep in mind that this episode itself is out of place chronologically.
Oh, okay.
So, they're bickering and whatnot, kind of talking, relaxing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it cuts to a clone walking out to their landing platform there at the station.
Yeah, yep.
And he kind of looks out in his binoculars, and they see what they assume is a meteor shower coming in.
Right.
That clone reports it back to their sergeant on deck, or their sergeant, the guy in charge of the station.
Mm-hmm.
Has them, raise the shields, and they're like, "Oh, it's the closest we're ever going to see any action." It's kind of griping and complaining, I guess.
Yeah.
Shortly after those meteors hit, we find out that those aren't meteors; those are separatists. They're commando droids, and a new droid to us in this early point in the show. And we find out that General Grievous has actually sent those droids to the station to take the station, and keep the all clear signal on, so that way the Republic does not get any wind of any sort of invasion or attack on Kamino.
Right. What was the new type of droid that we saw? What was that called?
Those are commando droids.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just was thinking, because I made that note. I remember there being a new one. I just couldn't remember the name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess next, the commando droids get on the landing platform. They take out the clone that's on duty, that's doing his checks and whatnot out on the platform. Some of the other clones inside the base take notice. They're looking on their scanners. They're not seeing that sentry out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let their sergeant know, and he kind of goes out there with another clone, kind of check it out. They see the commando droids, open fire, and start honestly just mowing down these clones. And the sergeant takes out a couple of them, but he gets shot and killed pretty early on. Really, the commando droids take the base with minimal effort. Because as I said earlier, these are very inexperienced clones who have not completed their training yet.
Right. Yeah.
And so what we end up seeing is Heavy, Cut Up, Heavy, Cut Up, Fives, and Echo. Those are the only 4 clones to actually escape through the air vents on the station.
Right, yeah, they escaped out there's some air vents, like you said, and then You know,
that's where you have your note on here, rip cut up.
Yeah.
Because we get to see a little more wildlife, you know, throughout the galaxy.
Yep.
They got the giant, what they call the giant eels.
Yep.
Literally just comes out from its burrow and just literally just eats cut up.
Yeah, it just destroys them, eats them.
Yeah.
Gobbles them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right after that, there was the, I've been taking note whenever I have a bad feeling about this was said. And there's a lot of episodes that it's said, and part of me is like wondering, are they going to do this with every single episode? And that's something I'm going to be looking out for. But yeah, and then, what was it? The severed droid head. Didn't they like walk? Did you say something?
That's a little later, yeah.
Well, that's right after my notes, but okay, I guess what happens in between that and what we were just talking
so
about.
You kind of missed some stuff in your notes. You just kind of jumped a little bit.
Yeah, probably.
It's whatever. But so basically, you know, those clones are down outside of the base, and at this point, Commander Cody and Captain Rex show up, and they land on the platform, you know, ready to do their inspection and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they make the comment of, you know, where's the sentry at? Where's the sergeant? Where's their sergeant at? Like, what's going on? This is ridiculous. You know, they knew they had an inspection today. You know, they should be ready. Where are they at? And Commander Cody kind of makes just kind of like jokingly, like, you know, hey Rex, you're in charge of this inspection. I'm not taking any credit for this one. This one's all you, buddy.
Yeah.
So, you know, they land and get up towards the door, where they're met, quote unquote, a clone. And you know, their clone's kind of acting weird and whatnot. Jacob, that's just rude. You know, this quote unquote clone is like kind of talking kind of funny, doing weird, you know, motions with his arms and whatnot.
Right.
You know, basically trying to like be like, oh, you guys don't have to do your inspection. As you can see, you know, the base is fully operational, no problems here. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
And you know, I believe it's Captain Rex. You know, says, you know, all the same, we're gonna do this inspection anyways. And you know, the quote unquote clone, so Roger. Which, you know, just kind of tips Captain Rex off. And at that time, one of the 4 rookies, you know, shoots a droid attack flare. And that really just, you know, that's the last kind of hint, I guess, that Captain Rex needs to realize that this isn't a clone.
Right, yeah. I mean, they were already suspicious, but just that final thing where he's like, yeah, this isn't right, and then they're able to, you know,
Captain Rex pulls out one of his pistols and shoots the quote-unquote clone in the head. You know, Commander Cody's kind of freaks out for a second because he hasn't fully caught up to
Rex's...
reach the realization that Captain Rex has.
Right.
And he's like, oh, you know, what the heck are you doing? And, you know, Rex, who's figured it out, and I was like, oh, relax, you know, and he pulls the helmet off. Sure enough, it's one of the commando droids.
All right, but just imagine if Rex was wrong.
Oof.
Imagine that.
Big oof. Yeah, that'd be a big oof. not be too good.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh. Anyway, Go ahead.
Oh no, you had a thought. Say your thought.
I think that. Never mind. I'm not saying that one. But no, I was.
Thoughts?
What?
I like thoughts.
No. Anyway, I realized that I did skip over a bit. I don't know why. There was a couple lines there that I skipped over when I went to the severed head of the droid. You know, but
you jumped a little ways ahead, honestly, with that one.
Well, I mean, I said I have a bad feeling about this was said, and then The guy, yeah, the one in disguise, and then after that, oh wow, yeah, I skipped ahead a lot.
Yeah. So after Rex pulls the helmet off of the droid, a bunch of other commando droids pop up and start shooting at him, and you see a brief little combat where Captain Rex and Commander Cody are fighting off the commando droids. And at one point, I believe Commander Cody says, get back, we gotta get back to the shuttle, we gotta get out of here. And the droids throw some grenades, blowing up the shuttle. But right before the grenades blow up, Captain Rex and Commander Cody, jump off the side of the landing platform, and use like their grappling hooks or whatever you want to call them, to land safely down. So that they land and they see Heavy, Fives, and Echo just chilling down there. Like they're stuck down there. The three of them can't really do anything because they don't have weapons. And at this point, both Commander Cody and Captain Rex are still suspicious of are these clones, are these droids? Basically yelling at the three of them to take their helmets off. Just to make sure and three comply, and obviously, sure enough, they're clones. And at this point, our good old eel friend shows up again. And we saw what it did to one clone, and like, oh great, another one's gonna die, and Captain Rex just kind of lazily shoots it in the eye and kills it with one of his pistols. They kind of Captain Rex or Commander Cody kind of makes a comment of, we got a bunch of shinies here, Captain. I think it might be reversed. I can't remember exactly who says it. We got a bunch of shinies here, and the three of them not quite understanding. You're like, shinies? Like, what's that? Rex is like, your armor. It's all shiny and new, just like you.
Right.
Basically just reinforcing that these guys haven't seen jack squat.
Yeah, I mean they're newbies, they're rookies. Yeah.
Yeah. And with Captain Rex, actually, he gets some of that eel's blood. It's like blue blood on his hand as he's kind of like checking it out, and he puts a handprint on Echo's chest, on his chest plate. Which I will say that's kind of like Echo's, kind of like his defining mark on his armor.
Yeah.
For when you see him in the future. Yeah. Like you see that handprint and you're like, okay, that's Echo.
Even though you'd think he'd probably wash his armor maybe every now and then, but
I don't know. Whatever, it's war.
They sleep in it, Jacob.
It's war, whatever.
They never take that off.
Yeah.
And so, we got these 5 clones now, all underneath the base, and they realize they've got to take the base back and warn the Republic an attack's coming. So they're all that's left. There's no one else there that's going to do it for them.
Yeah.
And so they all make their way back up on the landing platform after the commando droids have left. And that's when Captain Rex does the droid head little scam.
Right, yeah, and gets back in because he holds the severed head up to the identification camera, and he was like, yeah, one of them's just like, this is never gonna work or something, and he's like doing that, and then I think he didn't at one point. He was like, said Roger, Roger, and then they're like, okay, and they let him in.
Yeah, so he walks up to the door, and there's a camera there.
Yeah.
And so one of the commando droids is looking through the camera, freaking, I don't know, droid whatever number it was.
Yeah.
Is that you? And Captain Rex is like, Roger, Roger. The droid's like, what's wrong with your voice? It sounds funny. Is there something wrong with your modulator?
Something, yeah.
Electrical thingamajigger? Captain Rex again is like, Roger, Roger. And again, he's just like, oh, okay, good enough for me. Open the doors.
Yeah, open the doors and they all get destroyed, and yeah.
Or, yeah, well, no, because he's like, is something wrong with your modulator? He's like, Roger, Roger. And then he's like, take off your helmet, let me see your faceplate. And that's when he does the whole droid head thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's totally you. It's not like there's no lights or anything in your eyes like the rest of ours.
Yeah.
Sure, come on in.
Yep.
And so, then the droids open the door, and one of the commando droids is like, wait, clones? And Captain Rex got to be all snidey and sassy when I was like, Roger, Roger, chow, headshot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they start having a firefight again with the commando droids.
Mm-hmm.
Start pushing their way into the base. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so then they eventually. Okay. So eventually the conclusion was arrived. Like they arrived to the conclusion that they need to destroy the base, probably to. I mean, what was it? Oh, because it was to alert the Jedi, right?
Yeah, so the droids hardwired the all clear signal.
Right, so it was constantly projecting like, all good here. So then they're like, okay, we need to destroy the base. That'll disable that. The Jedi will know, and then they can send help.
Yeah, and so they actually use what's called liquid tabana, which is like a fuel source for them.
Sounds like a hemorrhoid cream.
I might need it.
Yeah, so they realize they have to destroy the base, and they're going to use the liquid tabana to destroy it. Because earlier in the episode, or at that point, I think Heavy makes a comment of, the base freezes for over half the year, so they use the liquid tabana to keep the base heated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's highly explosive. It's the perfect thing to destroy the base.
Right.
And at that point, it cuts to General Grievous, who is informed by one of the droids there in his command deck that they're not getting any response from the commando droids there at the base. So General Grievous sends down basically a battalion of droids to investigate and to make sure the all clear signal stays on. And so, the 5 clones see that this giant shuttle, this troop transport is coming down. And so, they gear up. Heavy grabs his minigun. Rex has his dual pistols. Cody's got his rifle. I think the other two have, I guess their version of SMG.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's not like a full-on rifle, but it's not a pistol.
Yeah.
They're heavy, and so they get the liquid tabana set up, and one or two of the clones is working on sinking a detonator so they don't frickin' blow themselves up.
Yeah.
And so Heavy goes to the front door along with the 2 other clones, and Heavy just unleashes barrages after barrage with his minigun on the droids as they're marching forward.
Mm-hmm.
He takes out quite a few of them, but it gets to the point where even though he's using a minigun, there's still too many of them for him to actually just hold them all.
Right.
Slowly falling back further into the base, until Captain Rex is sitting there. We see Captain Rex sitting there with the detonator, trying to link it up to the liquid tabana, and it's not working. It's not linking up. There's something wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells Heavy to, he's like, hey, get this working. We got to get going. And so Heavy's like, oh yeah, sure thing, Captain. I'll get it done. And he's still trying to get it to link. It's not linking. Echo, Fives, Rex, and Cody all go back through the air vent and get out of the base. And at this point, Heavy really just comes to a decision. He's realizing, we have to destroy this base. This isn't linking up. Someone's gonna have to stay behind.
Yeah.
And do it. He's come to the decision that he's gonna make the sacrifice for his fellow clones, for his brothers, his own planet, all that. And he puts the cover back over the vent, and he kind of just takes up a defensive position, really.
Yeah.
Trying to draw as many droids in as he can.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he takes out some more droids with his minigun. But at this point, he does get wounded. He gets hit a couple times by some of the droids, and he realizes he's got to get to the detonator and actually like set it off before they kill him.
Yeah.
And so he starts like trying to get over there, gets hit some more, and goes down. And this is where we get kind of a little bit of droid humor, I guess. One of the droids just asks, do we take prisoners? Because they've got like 50 droids all aiming their guns at this one clone who's on the ground, slowly crawling towards the detonator.
Yeah.
And they're stupid, mindless droids. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
One of them, makes that comment. Do we take prisoners?
Yeah, and then Heavy
he looks at his one-liner.
Yep.
Hits the detonator, destroys the base. Just kind of making the ultimate sacrifice, really.
Right. Yeah.
And at this point, Obi-Wan and Anakin see that the all clear signal is not there anymore, and they realize that an attack's coming. And it quickly jumps to General Grievous, who's obviously furious because
he
his
failed again.
They're supposed to keep the signal alive, not blow up the base.
Yeah.
And I believe it's Captain Rex looks through some binoculars. These are like some pretty heavy duty binoculars for seeing all the way out into space.
Yeah.
And he sees the droid fleet out there, and he sees a Republic fleet jump out of hyperspace and start engaging, and the droid fleet quickly jumps away.
Yeah.
And I guess the last scene we see, or I guess the second to last, is some ships come down, some LAAT gunships come down to pick up the clones.
Right. Yep, and get them out of there.
Yeah. And our last scene of this episode, it shows Echo and Fives, standing in front of Anakin and Obi-Wan as they're presented with medals. Basically saying, "Hey, you guys did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Going above what you're expected to." And Anakin makes a comment, I'd be honored to serve with either one of you, anytime, anywhere. You are the exact type of troopers I need in the 501st.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of in these kind of way that we see the episodes when it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you really kind of listen to it, one of them makes a comment of like, we don't deserve this honor. We failed. We failed our mission. We were supposed to hold the base. We didn't. We should not be receiving these medals.
Yeah.
And I guess to me that just kind of has a bigger impact than a lot of people realize.
Yeah. Because so their initial, when you look at it like that, like their initial mission, it's like, well, technically they failed. Yeah, I mean, they didn't protect it, but at the same time, when when you look at what was at stake and what went down, they succeeded because they stopped. They found a way to alert them and protect the protect the facility and protect that information.
Well, kind of, yeah, but I mean, I guess the way they're looking at it is like, our mission was never to destroy the base. Our mission was never to...
Right. But I'm saying...
our mission was to hold the base and keep it up and running. And the
right.
base is gone. It failed.
Yeah, and in that sense,
in the grand scheme of things, yeah, they did the right thing.
That's what I'm saying.
By destroying the base. But, I mean, to them specifically, their mission was a failure.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the specific mission was a failure, but I feel like, obviously they're presented with medals because they acted right and accordingly in the situation. Like, yeah, they failed at first, but they recovered and protected it in the end, in a way,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Gage, you had a question?
Yeah. We're obviously going to be talking a lot about clones in this part of the podcast. They're clones, so are their minds all programmed to do the same thing, or do they have different duties their brains are assigned to do, or like what's that whole deal?
So, and Jacob and I have kind of mentioned it in earlier episodes as well. So like there's really only two things that are the same about all the clones, and that's their appearance, and that all of them have an inhibitor chip in their brain.
So they all can have different personalities, different morals.
Yeah, we see a lot of them that have different personalities, different morals, different, ideas to situations. They are, although they look alike, they are very individual.
I was just curious about that because you think of clones and it's like an exact replica of the person that was cloned, right?
Yeah.
Brain waves, ideals, morals, and everything. Well,
and
you're seeing in this that they all have different personalities.
Yeah. And one thing that we never get actually told in any of the movies or TV shows that you actually can read about in some of the books is because they have different approaches to different situations and different personalities. Certain clones like Commander Cody and you have like Commander Gree and Commander Wolf, the different commanders and those of higher rank in the clone army. Those clones are the ones that tend to think more outside the box and coming up with a situation. They show more leadership in their training, and that's why they get those positions of commander or captain in Rex's case. Your ARC troopers, which are like special forces for the clones, those are clones that perform outstandingly well in combat or in their training. You have clone commandos who are even above those in terms of combat. Like their medics are specifically chosen based off of clones that excel in the like first aid sections of their training. So although we don't actually get told this information, you can read about it, and that's where you get even more background of how individual they really are.
Okay, I was just curious. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's the end of the first episode there. Not the first, the fifth. But Gage, what are your thoughts so far on the Clone Wars? And everything that we're covering.
I mean, I've only watched the first 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I think the Clone Wars are all right. He's kind of just stepping up and doing what needs done right now.
Yeah.
So that shows a lot of his character for this portion of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And with that, you mentioned that, it just reminded me, just briefly, during the Clone Wars, Anakin is the face of the Clone Wars for the Republic. Throughout the entire Clone Wars, he is regarded as the Jedi's best warrior.
All right, but tell me if Episode 3 didn't happen, he wouldn't be the face of the Jedi Council. Because he's the chosen one.
Yeah.
If
events went differently in Episode 3, I would say he eventually would become the leader of the Jedi Order as a whole. But during the Clone Wars, he is literally the face of the Clone Wars. He's the face that when citizens of the Republic think of their military and whatnot, of their leaders, he's one of those faces that come into their mind. He's known, as I said, one of the best warrior of the Jedi. Although personally, I disagree with that personally.
But Obi-Wan all the way.
In this galaxy, in this galaxy, he's considered the best the Jedi have to offer during the Clone Wars.
Do you think that? I mean, you might see it more in Episode 6 or whatever. But what episode was it? Episode 2 maybe of this season, where Episode 2, when he deliberately disobeys orders to go and save the clones and what's his name?
Plo Koon.
Do you think that makes him a better Jedi, or do you think it makes him a better
soldier?
Soldier. He's trusting his instincts. Like he's doing what needs to be done.
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly, because whereas he does go against orders, technically speaking,
right?
His orders were to have his fleet escort others, do some escort missions and whatnot, and his fleet continued to do that. He's finding that wiggle room within his bounds.
A little gray area.
Yeah, which I think definitely makes him a better Jedi, because he's finding that wiggle room. He's finding a way to, go and try and save some lives while still completing his mission. And it obviously it does make him a better soldier as well, because he's trusting his instinct. He's doing the right thing. In those terms,
I think my last question is: do you think the Jedi Council actually? Do you think that they know he's going to disobey, or do you think they just kind of think he's going to go along? And do you think they get actually upset with him when he succeeds in those missions?
I'll kick this one over to you, Jacob. Thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like there's got to be a level of annoyance, but like seeing the result might kind of ease that.
Do you think if he failed one time, they just drop the hammer on him?
Oh, I mean, they'd probably be. Yeah, he'd have a stern talking to probably, but in the end, he is a very good soldier and whatever, leader.
Yeah.
So maybe they'd probably take that into effect or into like consideration and be like, listen, man, you can't, you gotta,
and
yeah.
I guess I'll say you do see it later on in the TV show a lot more. He does go against orders from the Jedi Council to do what he believes is right. And to a degree, there is an annoyance there, I would say. But also, it's just like, it's kind of, it's not a surprise when he does it. Because
it's kind of expected. It's like, okay, it's Anakin. We knew this was a possibility.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we know how he is. He's going to try and do the right thing, even if there's a large risk of him failing and of it not succeeding. He's still going to try and do it. And though he does succeed a lot, there's an annoyance that he does go against orders, that he does disobey orders, but it's also like damn it, Anakin. They're upset that he disobeys orders, but they can't be that upset because he still succeeds,
right.
Yeah.
And a couple different times, Obi-Wan does make the comments of like,
all right, this is my actual last question.
Well, okay, really quick, just another, like, I just picture Obi-Wan, like, he's got, like, his, like, how he's got the radar and he can see where Anakin is and stuff?
Yeah, like,
I just
see where his ship is.
I just picture him being like, Anakin, I need you to go to this place at this time, do this thing, and report back to me. And then, like, 30 minutes in, he just looks at his thing and he sees him, he's, like, maybe, like, just not there, and he's just like,
he's like
figures.
4 planets away.
Yeah, he's just like, figures. He just like chucks it and just walks away.
My actual last question.
Yes.
Is even you said that the Republic sees Anakin as like a huge figure in this war.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the case with the Jedi Council as well? Do they think that, well, Anakin is the best we have to offer? Because, I mean, he's the quote-unquote chosen one. Do you think they believe that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's kind of up in the air. Because there's different occurrences. And I'll just say one from Revenge of the Sith. So, just kind of a little spoiler, I guess. At one point, Mace Windu kind of makes a comment, something along the lines of, like, supposedly he is the chosen one. And, Obi-Wan just kind of looks a little confused and whatnot. He's like, is he not the chosen one? Is he not the one that's supposed to bring balance to the Force? And so I really think it's just kind of up in the air. Like, Anakin does have the highest midichlorian count ever recorded in the history of the Jedi. And that's what gives him his Force abilities and how strong he is with the Force. And he's got the highest that the Jedi have ever seen. which definitely points to him being the chosen one. He was born without a father. His mother just got pregnant out of nowhere.
Hey, just like Marcel.
Again, just like...
Your answers are giving me more questions.
Oh, come on. Nobody's going to acknowledge that.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Marcel.
Yeah, there we go.
We joke, but we love him.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would just say it's kind of up in the air. Some Jedi, I'm definitely believe he's the chosen one. I'm sure there's some Jedi, like maybe he is, maybe he isn't. And I'm sure there's that small margin where like he's not the chosen one. I'm sure it's kind of in the air.
So I mean, we're kind of skipping ahead here to episode 3, but do you think his mother's still alive? Yes, Anakin's.
At this point, no.
No.
His mother died in Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So do you think that maybe he never knew his father? He had kind of a built-up anger, which in Revenge of the Sith comes out, and he puts that father figure in Palpatine. Do you think that has anything to do with him turning?
You know,
yeah.
Honestly, I kind of wonder that too, because like throughout the entire, like, you know, movies and even like I said, I read that one comic book, and even in that, like, the Chancellor's constantly being like trying to take him in and be like, show him, like, kind of be that figure for him in a way. Whether Anakin sees him like that or not, he tries to. The Chancellor tries to do that, and in the end, you know, it ends up, you know, swaying him into being what he ends up. But like,
really, I think it's. I definitely think Anakin sees the Chancellor as a source of father figure. I would say maybe more towards a mentor than father figure. Okay. I really think he sees Obi-Wan as his father figure, because Obi-Wan has been training him by that gap between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. It's been 10 years,
right,
where Anakin's been with Obi-Wan, you know, every single day. Obi-Wan's been training him, teaching him, taking care of him. And so I would say that father figure kind of leans more on Obi-Wan, and to where we see some of the scenes in Revenge of the Sith, Anakin feels betrayed by some of what Obi-Wan's asking him to do,
right,
and some of Obi-Wan's actions. Anakin feels betrayed, and that definitely kind of sways him towards his mentor Palpatine.
And I was going to mention Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan is more the father figure, but then he just kind of brushes Anakin's emotions off and says, "No, you're not ready. You're not ready." Like,
yeah,
that's going to throw anybody off. So he's like, "Well, screw this then.
I'm going to turn to my mentor."
What good is this doing? I have this guy who helps me, who actually helps me.
Yeah, I have this guy who's like, you know, taking my emotions into account, into consideration. Whereas, you know, I have, Obi-Wan's my master. You know, he's been basically my father for these last 10 years, but he's telling me that I shouldn't be showing emotion. I shouldn't be listening to that voice in my head. Yeah.
And then he turns to Palpatine, who just happens to be the best guy in the entire world.
But yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
So you think him growing up without a father and Obi-Wan's actions, definitely contributed to him turning over.
Yeah. And I actually was listening to or watching some YouTube videos and whatnot, and it kind of went into what would happen if Qui-Gon Jinn had not died in Episode 1 and had actually trained Anakin. And with that what-if scenario, the person, that YouTuber was basically saying that Anakin would not have turned to the dark side if Qui-Gon had trained him. Because Qui-Gon was kind of in that middle ground, kind of where Anakin is, to where he listens to his emotions a little bit more than most Jedi. And he actually takes that into account, to where he could actually mentor Anakin better than Obi-Wan could. And you got to remember, Obi-Wan got made a Jedi Knight because he defeated Darth Maul. He wasn't, in my opinion, he was not ready at that point to be a Jedi Knight.
Right, and Anakin just was the face of the war, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's not ready.
Yeah.
Do you think that has anything to do with him, like, disobeying the orders?
Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit. I wouldn't say a whole lot. I think a lot of it is his moral compass, is why he goes against some of the orders that he's given.
But his moral compass is good.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. For the most part, he has a solid moral compass.
Yeah, I mean, until it comes to like younglings and but.
Hey! Let's not talk about that.
Hey, great scene.
I don't want to talk about
that. But see, the big thing I guess that really kind of turns Anakin towards the dark side is, during the Clone Wars, he's this big hero and he's getting a lot of recognition and a lot of
ego.
And yeah, his ego is getting built a lot by different politicians and different racial leaders through the different planets that he's helping, all this other stuff. But then he goes back to the Jedi Temple, and he gets put on the Jedi Council, and he's told he's not going to be a master. He's told he's not ready, and so he gets this. On one hand, he's getting all this praise and whatnot from the people and different species around him and the politicians, but on the other hand, the order that he belongs to is telling him he's not ready.
This is great discussion, and I love it.
Yeah. I'm appreciating this.
Actually, the Jedi put him as one of the faces of the Republic, right?
It wasn't really the Jedi. I think it was more the Chancellor that kind of turned. So it was kind of the Chancellor kind of pushed for him to be the face, but also his actions in conflict and his skill as a warrior, because he is a very skilled warrior. And his skill as a warrior and the ability the fact that he's getting the job done really brings him up into, I guess, early on consideration as the face, and the Chancellor just pushes it that much more to make him the face of the Republic. And so, like, even when the Separatists are considering this like high value targets, Anakin's one of those high value targets, along with like the Chancellor and maybe Master Yoda, Mace Windu, those leaders. Anakin's definitely a high value target for the Separatists.
Okay. So definitely the war is the turning point for Anakin. At the end of the war is like his ego's built, he's ready to be a master, and that's the turning point. Like, I just won the war for us. Everybody loves me.
Yeah, the Republic, all the citizens of the Republic are with him. They're behind him. He's got all this. He's got a huge ego built up, and I would say honestly, a lot of it's earned.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a false ego. A lot of it's definitely earned, but then he gets really just kind of shunned away from the Jedi Council, telling him that he's not ready to be a master.
Okay. I know you've been doing most of the talking during the Star Wars stuff. It's obviously because you have the most knowledge in it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Evan, that Anakin was ready to be a Jedi Master?
Personally, I would say no.
Why?
For the sole fact that he does go against the Council's orders so much. Now, I say that with a little reservation, because I definitely think most of the time, I would say about 95% of the time when he goes against their orders, it's justified. But the fact that he's not listening to the Council as much as he should be shows some immaturity.
Does he go against them, or does he find that gray area?
Some of it's that gray area where it would be pushing the limits of gray area and actually going against, and some of it's just straight out going against. And like I said, I just think he does that just way too much, which to the Council shows them immaturity in Anakin. So I would say that the Council is justified in not making him a master yet. If he wouldn't have gone down the road he went in Episode 3, he definitely would have become a master very soon. And I would say he would have been the best of the Jedi, given a little more time.
Okay. That is my last question. I know we're probably going to run this episode a little bit long.
This episode is definitely going to be a little bit longer, yeah.
But I think the good discussion helps out.
Absolutely, yeah.
When Gage is here and not Bud. So I am in the same boat as the audience, where I haven't seen a lot of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
If people that haven't seen it are listening, I'm hoping that I can ask questions that you guys have, or kind of clarify anything that you guys are thinking and I'll bring that up. So back to our introduction, definitely shoot that email messages.
Oh, actually, yeah, no. In that intro, we didn't actually mention the email. We said other methods, but we have created an email account that you guys can then, send those questions
and that'll be in the link. That was in the link for the last episode, and it will be in it will be the link in the description for this episode as well. So
yes, dang, I'm sorry for that spoiler, guys.
Yeah, like Gage said, definitely. Any questions you have, please shoot that email. Shoot those questions with that email, because I know we would love to see what questions you have and love to give answers.
Right. Yeah.
I think we really need to get on to episode 6 though, because we're kind of running.
Yes. We are. Well, okay. So, 2 things. First thing, Evan, where does Darth Vader buy all of his designer shoes?
He doesn't. He has robot feet.
No. Oh, that's a fair point. But no, he he shops at the Darth Mall.
Oh my goodness! I was thinking something mall. I didn't connect Darth Maul with an actual. Okay, yeah.
Hey Jacob.
Hey, what?
What's yellow and can't swim?
School bus full of children.
No, God, a banana.
Shut up.
Oh my God.
Jeez, Jacob.
Yeah, okay, I'm the wrong one for you freaking setting up the perfect joke. Come on.
Okay, anyways.
Okay, second thing. So I said one or I said I had 2 things. Second thing.
My bad. Continue.
You're fine. Second thing. We're at an hour. Do you want to make this into 2 episodes?
No, because we won't have enough content for a second episode.
It's debatable.
Just make this an hour and a half long one.
All right, fine.
It'll be a little. I'm sure the audience will appreciate the discussion. So.
No, I am fine with a 2-hour episode.
Well, yeah. All right.
And maybe after we're done recording the actual episode, we went a little long, like kind of throw it into the introduction. Say, hey, we went a little long, but there's a lot of stuff, good discussion.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, let's continue on to episode 6.
All right. So, episode 6 of the Clone Wars TV show is titled "Downfall of a Droid." And just a brief summary about this episode. It's really, we start out with a pretty awesome battle, I think. But it results in the loss of R2-D2. I don't just mean loss in like he gets destroyed. Like
he gets sniped.
He's missing. R2-D2 is missing by the time this battle is over, which is a big deal to the Republic, which we'll discuss a little bit further as we get into the episode.
They wish he got destroyed. They wish he got destroyed.
And so, this episode, really after that initial battle, it really just follows Anakin and his apprentice, Ahsoka, as they're trying to locate where R2 went. And it kind of follows a replacement droid they get from R3. And just kind of the issues, I guess, they have with this new droid as they're trying to find R2 to get him back. There's some secret information that they don't want the Separatists to get a hold of.
And you kind of see both sides of the new droid, where Ahsoka is like very welcoming and encouraging, where Anakin's like, I don't want change.
Yeah.
The old and the new kind of mentality of a new droid.
Absolutely, yeah. So really, I guess getting into this episode, it kicks off with the introduction. We have the narrator kind of saying, the Republic's suffering quite a few defeats in terms of fighting the Separatists. And it really cuts to the first scene, and it's got a Republic fleet sitting inside of I'm trying to think what it's called, like the asteroid rings around a planet.
Yeah.
Inside of that ring, between that ring and the planet, and it's got General Grievous, bearing down on them with a pretty sizable Separatist fleet.
Mm-hmm.
And Ahsoka's on the command deck of one of their cruisers, and Anakin, pretty sure he's in a fighter at this point. Yeah, he's in his Jedi fighter. And one of the clones are asking, should we open fire on the Separatist fleet before they get any closer? Ahsoka's just like telling them, just hold on, just wait. We gotta wait just a little bit longer. And they kind of make the comment of, if the Separatists get too close and start firing right on top of the ships, like, because the Separatists are above the Republic fleet.
Mm-hmm.
So they start shooting down the ships. You're gonna start hitting the bridge and the hangar bays, and doing a lot of excess damage to these Republic cruisers.
Yeah.
And so what we don't know right here is that the Republic have actually set up a kind of a trap for the Separatist fleet. And as the fleet gets closer and gets to some of the asteroids, their fleet actually intensifies their forward deflector shields, leaving their back exposed. And we actually see a pretty dope...
Oh, yeah, because, well, I mean, the guys, the Separatists, I mean, they even mentioned, it's like we can attack from the... Or what was it? If we attack from above, something or whatever, they're trying to figure out where to go in, and they're like, well, our back is just fine because we're covered by this asteroid field. It's like they're not going to be flying ships through there, and we're good. So we're going to come through and attack them from above or whatever, and then, go ahead.
Yeah, and so, we see the Separatist fleet getting closer and closer, and next thing you know, we see a bunch of ATTEs, which stands for all-terrain tactical enforcers, I believe, which is basically the Republic's version of like really beefed up tanks.
Yeah.
We see a bunch of them like start moving forward on the asteroids behind the Separatist fleet, where the Separatists have just sprung this trap that the Republic has set, and those tanks just start firing on the back of the Separatist cruisers, just doing an insane amount of damage.
Oh yeah.
Because as I said, the Separatists have all their deflector shield powers going towards the front of their ships, nothing in the back to protect them. And, they start taking out Separatist ships like it's nothing, just taking them out left and right. The Separatists send their fighters out to engage the Republic fighters. And, Anakin's leading the fighters and whatnot. And we got a pretty sweet space battle going on. And as the Separatists are getting ready to flee, Anakin's fighter takes a pretty heavy hit. He's keeping control of it for the most part. But then right there, as the Separatists are about to flee, his ship, it finally is taking enough damage where it more or less explodes. But Anakin somehow survives the blast. And then it cuts to Anakin in the medical bay of the Republic cruiser. And, he comes to and he sees Ahsoka and Admiral Yularen in there, aka Howard Stark.
Yep.
And he's kind of talking real quick, asking him like how the battle went. We won the battle, and he's like, "Oh, where's R2?" And it turns out R2's missing. He's gone. They don't know where he's at. And so they send out some search parties into what's left of the battle, the destroyed ships and whatnot. And eventually they find Anakin's fighter. And, they're expecting to see a destroyed R2 in the droid slot where R2 sits. But, they get there and it's empty. And so, it's not just that R2 is destroyed and just floating somewhere. Like, R2 is locked into that position.
Yeah.
It's like bluntly obvious that it's not R2's destroyed. R2 is just gone.
Yeah.
He's disappeared.
Yeah.
And so...
So they give him a replacement droid in the meantime.
Yeah, so they get a replacement droid, which is R3, which is the black and gold droid that we see in this episode.
Right. And so here's my question with that. You've got R2D2, you got R3, and then Obi-Wan's even got R4. What are the different numbers? Are they just different droids, or are they different like versions, generations, like different upgraded systems, like or you know, like what? Different model.
Yeah, so you have R2 units. Mm-hmm. So like you have R2D2, you would have R2D3, R2D4, R2D5, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You have R3, A1, A2, A3, A4, just different variants.
No, I think it's definitely different generations, like the iPhone 7, iPhone.
Yeah, so they've got some upgrades, but it's not a huge difference. It's like the iPhones, where the next iPhone just has a better camera.
Right.
You know.
But they're different generations trying to play it off as, oh, you need this droid. It's way better than the previous version.
Yeah, exactly. And Ahsoka actually does make a comment about R3, saying, it's an upgraded version. It can do some stuff faster than R2 could. And as you said, Gage, before we started going into this, the in depth of this episode, Anakin's not about getting a new droid. Anakin's been with.
Doesn't like to change.
Yeah, Anakin's been with R2 since, Attack of the Clones and Geonosis, and they've gone through quite a bit together already. He's grown some attachment to this droid. And R2 has actually saved Anakin's life in some occasions.
Didn't Anakin rebuild R2? Or was that Anakin? Didn't Anakin build a droid?
Anakin built C-3PO.
C-3PO? Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if it was R2 with C-3PO.
Yeah, Anakin built C-3PO.
Well, that's why it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But yeah, so Anakin's not about getting a new droid, but Ahsoka is kind of keeping an open mind to it. She's it's like, well, this is an upgraded version of an R2 unit, it's an R3 unit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as bad as it seems.
Well.
Yeah.
Well.
But then at which point, Anakin's kind of giving an update to Obi-Wan and informs him, we lost R2. And, Obi-Wan kind of has that mentality of it's just a droid.
I think.
Whereas, if Obi-Wan could save R2 right there in the moment, like R2's right next to him and he can, block a blaster bolt to save him, he's obviously going to, but at the end of the day, it is just a droid to Obi-Wan.
I think this kind of brings up Anakin's emotional values,
mm-hmm.
where with I'm blanking.
Obi-Wan, Ahsoka?
No.
He views R2 as the father figure that was left.
No. I think, we all saw how Anakin went against the Jedi beliefs with affection,
mm-hmm.
and getting attachments with Padme. Well, this is kind of, I think R2 is more of like a brother.
Yeah.
We're not going to wipe his memory. He needs to know these things, And
that was actually my next point.
It shows his emotional values.
Yeah.
I stick to my guns with the things that I love.
Exactly, yeah. And that brings up the next thing I was going to hit. Anakin informed, Obi-Wan makes that comment. It's just a droid, you can get another R2 unit anywhere.
Right.
But Anakin makes that comment, we kind of got a problem here, Master. I have not once wiped R2's memory. And what we learn at this point is that R2's got information on base locations, different spies they might have, battle plans, weaknesses in their cruisers. All of this information in this one droid, which, as Anakin says, has definitely come in handy in tight spots.
Right.
And at this point, Obi-Wan's more saying, find that droid on more of a tactful reasoning, whereas, as you said, Anakin's definitely there for an emotional reason, an attachment that he has to the droid.
Is Anakin the only Jedi who doesn't wipe his droid? Is that ever mentioned?
That we know of. I don't think it's ever actually mentioned if other Jedi wipe their memories or not. I would say, based off of Obi-Wan's reaction, I would say it's a fairly common thing to wipe a droid's memory.
Yeah, it's just kind of like the browser history after searching how to make pipe bombs and all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it may or not be shown up already. I can't tell. I think I'm in and out of Bud and Gage. Like, I got some dissociative identity disorder right now. When I'm asking questions, they're valid questions, so I think that's Gage. Like,
anyway, going on with the episode.
Yep.
So Anakin and Ahsoka kind of start their search for R2, and what they end up encountering is really a scavenger. This is a very, I guess, profitable occupation to have during the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find different species and whatnot take salvage ships, and they'll go and salvage parts and whatnot from destroyed cruisers or fighters, that kind of stuff, and either repair droids and reprogram them and sell them, or melt down different metals to turn into different other items, stuff like that. They encounter one of those, one of these scavengers, and they board his ship, asking if he's come across any R2 units, just kind of like, I wouldn't say interrogating, but like just questioning him, seeing if he's got anything, And the scavenger says, you can take a look around, but I haven't encountered any R2 units of lately that I remember. So this is where we really see, I guess, R3's first screw up. Anakin and Ahsoka are kind of going through some of the wares that this scavenger has, and what they find is some assassin droids.
Mm-hmm.
That have been shut down. And so they're kind of going through, and Anakin makes a comment. These assassin droids, they're a nasty piece of work. They're pretty effective in what they're designed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And R3 kind of wanders. They tell R3 to plug into the system and see if he can't find any R2 units or anything like that. And what R3 ends up actually doing is reactivating the assassin droids.
Yeah.
And so we see Anakin and Ahsoka have a little bit of a battle with these assassin droids.
They don't handle them too easily, I don't think.
No.
They have kind of a...
They have a bit of a rough go of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy with assassin droids.
Yeah. And for any of those that have watched The Mandalorian, that droid that Mando teams up with in one of the earlier episodes that has...
Episode 3?
Yeah, I think it's episode 3, yeah. That has like the swiveling pieces on its head that's just going to town on some of the guys that he's fighting. That is an assassin droid.
Yeah.
Just for some, I guess, a clarification, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so even in that episode of The Mandalorian, we can see how efficient those droids are. They're very effective. They're very, very violent, I guess.
Yeah.
They do their job very well.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where also after he activates that's where Anakin goes to R3 somewhere around in here. It might have been right after he activated him, just saying you'd make a poor excuse for a light switch, just like yelling at him again.
Yeah,
I think Anakin lets his emotions take place there, where he's like, I need to find R2, I need to find R2, and he's taking it out on R3.
Oh, certainly, he's directing all of it on him.
It's definitely that. I would also say it's kind of on the lines of Anakin's frustration at the time. It's partly where he wants R2, but I think it's kind of his frustration that the droid did just make them fight two assassin droids.
Right.
I would say it's frustration along with him wanting R2 back.
Yeah.
I'd be frustrated if I had to fight an assassin droid. I'll tell you what. I don't have a lightsaber.
And then, they finish off the two assassin droids, and at this point, the scrapper comes back, the scavenger, and he sees what's happened, and basically like kicks them off of his ship.
Mm-hmm.
At which point we see what you got here in the notes, Jacob. You have now this stupid Slimo is pawning R2.
Yeah, because R2's there.
Yeah, and so like after Anakin and Ahsoka leave the ship, we see this scavenger. He opens a door, and we see R2 in there.
Yeah.
And at which point, the scavenger makes contact with General Grievous and basically tells him, I just had these 2 Jedi board my ship, asking for this R2 unit. It's probably got some good information for you.
I think we need to rediscuss our situation here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the end of episode.
No, there's more.
I mean, that's the last part I remember, but I was probably drinking. So.
Well, moving along a little bit, R2 starts like rolling away, and he kind of evaded one of the assassin droids in kind of a smart little maneuver. Didn't he lure him into like a hatch and then move and then eject him?
Yeah, he closed him in, I thought.
Yeah. He went in there and the guy rolls in there and he's just looking. He's like, "Where did he go?" kind of thing. And then the doors close and R2
yeah.
What? Okay, I'm still lost. What is my note about R3 as a little snitch?
I don't know. I'm just trying to look on where it's at. Go ahead and make a note here, Jacob. I can't remember how this one actually ends.
Okay.
I don't either.
I'm drawing a blank on it. Or actually, keep it going. Keep it going.
All right. Yeah.
So basically, what happens is,
Yeah, R2 ejects an assassin droid.
Yeah, one of the assassin droids just ends up being re-shut down. And R2 actually has a little inhibitor thing on him. Mm-hmm. Right before this happens. He actually knocks that off of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Off of him, so he doesn't get shut down by the scrapper.
Right.
And he ejects the other assassin droid.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it cuts to Anakin, and he's still kind of trying to search around for. He jumps in to try and spy on General Grievous, as well as still kind of searching for R2 at the same time. And I think this is where the R3's a little snitch comes in. Anakin tells R3 to activate his scanners.
Yeah.
So they can kind of for R2. But what R3 ends up doing is turning on his tracking beacon. At which point General Grievous picks up that tracking beacon and now knows where Anakin is, because Anakin's off by himself in another Jedi fighter.
Yeah.
And so General Grievous is at this point, just oh, let's get over there. It's a Jedi. Let's go kill him. Mm-hmm. Obviously Anakin's frustrated at this point because again R3 had another mess up.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is General Grievous jumps to where Anakin's at. And starts trying to fire on him, trying to destroy him.
Can we just talk how bad their ship's aims are? Their aims is like Stormtrooper aim. It's a shit.
Hashtag Stormtrooper aim.
Hashtag Stormtrooper aim.
Stormtrooper aim. Like whenever you try to hit up a girl, hashtag Stormtrooper
aim.
Oh. So basically what we see here is, R3 has another mess up. And, Anakin's telling R3 to prep the hyperdrive engines because Anakin's fighter is attached to one of those rings that we see them attached to fairly often. And instead of firing up the hyperdrive, R3 detaches the fighter from that ring. And, Anakin at this point is trying to get back to the ring, which gets destroyed by General Grievous. He orders, his droids to destroy that ring so Anakin can't escape.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Anakin's trying to evade fighters, and he's got some missiles chasing after him, some heat-seeking missiles. And really, he's just trying to come up with a maneuver to try and get away from these missiles. And he has a pretty ballsy move, I guess I would say, where he basically just shuts down the engines and does a quick 180 where he fires on all the missiles and able to blow them up.
Yeah.
Where R3 does something right for once.
Yeah, R3 actually does something right for once. And really, I think at this point, Anakin kind of makes the comment of, if this ship gets blown up, you get destroyed too. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, with this going on, R3's just having a bunch of mess ups.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure R3 purposely deactivates Anakin's his guns on his ship. And then out of nowhere, the Twilight shows up with a Rex on it.
Because they saw that tracking beacon that R3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. They saw the tracking beacon just like General Grievous did. And at this point, the Twilight is really giving Anakin some covering fire while he tries to maneuver to the back end of it, where they've got a hatch where Anakin can land and get on board the Twilight.
Right.
And so Anakin gets aboard the Twilight, and then the Twilight quickly, Ahsoka has him fire up the hyperdrive for the Twilight, and they quickly just jump out of there. And that's really where this episode comes to an end.
Yep.
Is them jumping out of there, and I would say Anakin definitely has a lot of anger towards R3 at this point, because he's had, at this point, what they're assuming is mess ups.
I wouldn't say anger, I'd say frustration, as you said before.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Anger is what drove Anakin to the dark side. He let in his anger. He's not there.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely frustration.
He's very frustrated at himself for one, losing R3.
Yeah.
He's frustrated at R3 for messing up as much as he has.
Mm-hmm.
He's messed up. I think this is an ego talking, but he's frustrated that he needed help to get out of there.
I can see that. Yeah.
I can see his ego kicking in and being like, God, I shouldn't have needed help. Should have got out of there. And then that compounds on the frustration for R3, because if he got to that ring, he would have been able to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not even just that he'd be able to get out of there faster. That ring is what allows those fighters to go into hyperspace.
Right.
In order for them to jump in. And that's what allows them to go into hyperspace, period. Without that ring, Anakin's stuff. Yeah.
And the fact that R3 detached him from that is like,
exactly.
Dang it.
Yeah. So like in this last scene, R3's set off the beacon. He's detached Anakin from the hyperspace ring. He's disabled Anakin's lasers, which we don't know at this point is what happened. I don't think. Anakin tells him to turn off the stabilizer so he can quickly do that 180, and R3's kind of like questioning him. It's just like compound failure after failure, basically on R3's part, which is making Anakin even more frustrated.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really where the episode ends after the Twilight jumps away.
Yep.
R2-D2's still missing. They're still stuck with R3. Anakin's got quite a bit of frustration going on with R3. And it will pick up. We get an ending to this I guess story in the next episode, which we'll be reviewing next time.
Yeah.
On Star Wars in Depth.
You're in depth.
In depth.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad, guys. Your in depth.
Okay, so here's the thing. So obviously the general name we kind of want to be your in depth, but then like while we're covering the different topics, do you want to break it down and like keep Star Wars in depth as the individual episode titles?
I think that's what we should ask the listeners.
Okay.
Send it in the Discord or our email.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and
your in depth or our topic in depth.
Yeah.
So like for this, do you want it Star Wars in depth for this, and then Marvel in depth, and then DC in depth? You want everything plain and simple referred to as your in depth. So let us know. Discord, through the email, or through comments.
Yeah. However you want to contact us. Like I said, I've got a Twitter account that is auto-linked to our uploads so that it'll post out a little link. We don't have many followers, but I want that to be there just in case. So there's that, and you can direct message or tweet at us there. There's also, obviously Discord. There's the new email. There's
the Facebook page that we have.
Right. Yep. There's that.
Leaving comments on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Right. Well, actually,
plenty of ways to let us know. Just let us know.
Yeah. Regardless. So, but yeah, there's that. I don't know what else to really mention other than thanks again to that Yoda the something whatever for the review.
Yoda
Yeah.
What was that, Gage?
Yoda, the one that we want.
Yeah.
Or the one that I want.
Yeah, and again, those goals, 100 reviews gets you guys a live stream, and Evan, you made the note though on that real quick that a rating is not the same as a review.
Correct. Yeah.
The ratings are very well appreciated. Don't get me wrong, but the reviews are going to be what we're counting towards that.
The reviews are going to help us know what we need to do better.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
The reviews are reviews are feedback. The rating kind of helps with the algorithm of getting us out there, so it is helpful. But we want to hear from you guys too. So.
Yeah. I guess we have any last thoughts, any questions, anything else you guys want to discuss while we're here?
I would like to say, I know that in the podcast group, I invited a lot of my friends on Facebook. So if you have anything, just message me on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of you number or my Snapchat. Just let me know, because we're really here for you guys, and we are just trying to spread the knowledge that the three of us combined have. Yeah. Mostly Evan for Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
But definitely just let us know any questions.
Yeah,
if you have contact information, just shoot me a text.
Correct. And another thing I wanted to mention, and this is another way you guys can contact us. I have my YouTube channel linked to this, so you'll see this upload on Rude, Crude, and Socially Unacceptable, and with that you can directly comment on it, and I'll be able to see those as well. So that's just another way that you guys can, give feedback and comment and ask questions and whatever you need to do or want to do.
For those that don't actually know any of the three of us, like we said, we do that email, the comment section, the reviews, all that stuff, and the different platforms that this is on. So
exactly.
We have every form possible for you guys to contact us on.
Yeah, there is no reason that you guys should feel impaired in that way. We have ways of you getting to us.
I would just like to say, don't think that, or I guess don't get in the mindset of, oh, this is a stupid question, so I don't want to ask.
Oh, there is no such thing as a stupid question.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. But think about it this way. Every single amount of knowledge is kind of like this building, right? And you have to start at the base in order to get up there. So it's not stupid because you're even just laying a tiny brick, It's kind of like, I don't know. Some of them should be obvious, maybe, and you could consider that stupid, but I don't consider it stupid.
Even if it's an obvious answer, still please ask.
Yes. I would like to say, I've been told by numerous mentors of myself that if you're the smartest person in your friend group, you're not doing enough. Because you cannot know everything about everything.
Right.
So ask questions. I guarantee Evan, myself, or Jacob are going to do what we can to answer all of your questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so any last questions?
Yeah, I guess I just want to say, I don't want to drag this out, this section. We're saying a lot of things, but I want to maybe end with kind of this call to action kind of thing. It's like we do this out of enjoyment, and obviously we want to provide those things for you, those milestones. So if you guys can help us to reach those by spreading it to your friends, that would be just wonderful. So like, I don't know, set a goal of sharing it with 3 or more people. Just send them a link. You don't even have to send them a text. Anything else, you can just be like, link, boom. You don't have to start a conversation with them.
Even if you tell 3 or 4 people, and only one of them goes and listens, that's one more listen we have. That's one more listen.
And that helps us out.
We're asking for your help.
I turned Jacob onto a podcast that I know is really great.
Yeah.
And I think he enjoys it for the most part. I told Evan about it. I think he's listened to a couple episodes. I think he enjoys it.
I've listened to a couple episodes. I've kind of been lacking here lately, but it's like word of mouth is just as good a way of spreading it as sending a text or an email or a message on Facebook. So yeah, definitely a call to action. Just I would say let 2 people know about the podcast.
Yes. Yep. 2. Yeah, 2 is a fair number. We'll say 2.
That's a challenge. I challenge you.
Yeah.
You can't turn down the challenge. Within the rules of counting.
Agreed.
I challenge all of our listeners to tell 2 people this week.
Yes.
About our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway.
So with that, I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yep.
It's been real.
Yeah.
Deuces.